Rick, you're on, right? 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 Rick, we're not hearing you if you're speaking. Rick, we're not hearing you if you're speaking. Rick, we're not hearing you if you're. I am hearing an echo of myself, though.
Tommy, Elizabeth is in the waiting room.
Oh, I see.
Oh, great.
All right, she's in. Rick, I'm gonna give Rick a call really quick, okay?
Yes. Go ahead.
All right, we're live.
Okay. Thank you, Tommy. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special meeting of the Montclair Historic Preservation Commission. It is March 24th, 2022. Notice has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting a copy of the notice on the first floor of the municipal building and by sending a copy to the Montclair Times, the Star Ledger, and the Herald News. This meeting is being broadcast live on Channel 34 Montclair TV and is also able to access remotely on YouTube. Tommy, can you put up the sheet that has the number on it for people who want to call in, the public? Our secretary will now put up the sheet on the screen that indicates which number to call if a member of the public wishes to call in and make a comment. There you go. Okay, thank you. So Tommy, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Bennett,
Present.
Mr. Heidemann has been excused this evening. Mr. Rooney,
You're mute.
Can't hear you, Steve.
good test of the mics. I can see Mr. Rooney is on though, so I'll just mark him present. We can't hear you though, Mr. Rooney.
Oh, you
Mr.
can't hear me?
Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
now we can.
I haven't said a word.
Oh, Mr. Reimuth,
Here.
Mr. Graham,
Here.
Mr. Sweeney,
Here.
Ms. Rubin,
Present.
Mr. Burr,
Present.
Mr. Connolly.
Here.
Okay, thank you. And just for information, Mr. Burr is not on the video tonight. He is listening to us by audio, so we can still ask him any questions that arise. All right, first order of business is the approval of the minutes of March 10th, our last meeting, which was very recently. Are there any changes or addendums to the minutes as written by Tommy?
I have none.
I have none.
Okay, hearing none, I make a motion to present the minute, to approve the minutes rather, as written. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Thank
I
you.
abstain, Chair.
Oh, yes. Do you have that, Tommy?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Yeah, Mike wasn't here at last meeting. Moving on, we have a resolution for 237 Lorraine Avenue. And just since our last meeting, we reviewed this sign. It's a sign, a new business that's opening up in the, an art gallery that's opening up in the Upper Montclair Historic District. And it was approved with condition that that the revisions committee go and see the sign in the field, which we did, and we approved it. It's a very interesting sign if anyone gets a chance to look at it. On the resolution that Tommy's prepared, I would like to make 2 minor changes. Number 7, which is scope of work proposed by applicant and discussion. At the end of the first paragraph rather, it should read, the sign will be constructed of a 1/2-inch white AZAC rather than PVC. And then line number 2, the applicant proposes to adhere a small vinyl sign with their website domain on the lower right corner of their storefront window next to the entrance. So just to insert window in that sentence.
All right.
Does
I've
anyone
copied
else?
it. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have any changes to of this resolution? Hearing none, would somebody please make a motion to approve the resolution?
I move to approve.
Okay, that's John. And second,
Second.
Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
And I think I have to abstain from this one as well, Chair.
Right.
Okay. And now we move on to public comment. So Tommy, is there anybody in the queue that would, telephone queue that would like to speak?
I'm going to unmute everybody that I am able to, and we can wait a few seconds to see if anybody chimes in.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is
Hello?
Frank Werbacki. Hello.
We can hear you.
Yes. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Frank Werbacki, 398 Upper Mountain Avenue. I'm going to be quick tonight. I only need a minute of your time. I just want to call your attention. I just want to highlight the Zoning Board of Approval is referring a demolition application to you for 114 Anna Caldbrook Road. And my concern is that the commission and your attorney and your preservation expert be extra thoughtful in reviewing this. I think this application in itself is not that significant, but I think it has broader applications for you in the township, vis-a-vis the total demolition aspect of it. And the last point I would make is when you do that, keep in mind, besides what the ordinance says, not what you think it says, but keep in mind what the limits on the role and the authority of the Board of Adjustment review are, and where a total demolition fits into that. So that's really my comment for tonight. Thank you.
And Mr. Rebecki, what address did you say that was? We haven't, it hasn't crossed our paths yet.
It's for 114 Anna Caldbrook Road.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Probably won't see it until April at the earliest.
Okay. Do you have
Okay.
another? Do you have another comment, or is that it?
No, that's it. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else, Tommy?
I'm not seeing anybody else. Everyone is still unmuted. And I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, hearing that there's nobody else on the lines, we'll close this section of public comment. Next on the agenda is committee reports. We have no committee reports as this is a special meeting. We'll save them for our next regular scheduled meeting. There is no old business, and so we'll segue right into new business. So, new business. Did somebody say something?
No.
No? Okay. The first, we have two applications for new business. The first one is application HPC 2022-07, 212 Glenridge Avenue. It's a certificate of appropriateness for a facade development. This building is significant. It's 212 Glenridge Avenue. It's the northerly address for the building at 427, 429 Bluefield Avenue. Tommy, could you pull up that picture that I sent to you today? There you go, thank you. So it is the northern facade, meaning the back facade on Glenridge Avenue for this building, which is known historically as the Madison Building. The Madison Building was built in 1912, and it is in the Town Center Historic District. Nominating report, it's described as a Beaux-Arts Revival commercial residential structure and is characterized as a contributing building within the historic district. We have on our memorandum that was prepared by the planning department, there are 4 points that the applicant has proposed on how they would like to change the facade. So Tommy, if you could go now to the back of the building, please, and show us the facade, which they're actually going to be working on. Great. Okay, wonderful. Who do we have here to speak to this application?
Hi, all. This is Isela from Joso Studio.
I'm sorry.
I think the architect.
Okay, you're the architect, Mr. Sella?
Yes.
Is anyone else on the line for this application?
I
No?
do not know, but
I saw Patricia DiFranco. I added her as a panelist, but it looks like she's not.
She's on as well, but I don't know if she could connect to the audio, but she's definitely here listening in.
Okay, well, we need to swear you in, Mr. Zella. Mr. Burke, can you do that?
Yes, I can. Yeah,
Thank you.
I can. Hi, Mr. Zella. Do you
Hi.
swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sella, can you please tell us what you propose to do? And Tommy, maybe you could bring up the, can you magnify the picture on the left?
That's good.
Okay, that's fine. So, Mr. Zella, could you walk us through what you plan to do here?
Absolutely. So we are proposing to redesign the front facade of the new business. We don't plan on doing any kind of demolition to the existing, but adding over it. If you look at the section details, it explains what's going to happen. We're going to have treated wood furring strips that are applied to the existing concrete. And then we're going to have the system of the castellation from the new tech wood on that as well. The signage above, the blade sign, and the lighting. And just some paint around the interior of that space. Existing door to remain, existing storefront to remain.
Which you mean the existing windows, the storefront
Yes.
windows?
Yes.
Tommy, could you go back to the existing picture, please? Okay, great. Does that conclude your testimony, Mr. Zella?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we will open it up now to commissioners' questions. I'll try to get everybody in order. Steve, do you have any questions?
The only question that I have is something that Tom was talking about, was the band, I guess it's a metal clad band at the top, not be, why did you bring the new woodwork up higher than the bottom of the band?
We felt aesthetically that it made more sense for the signage to be a little larger. And in order to get the sign to be the size that we desired, we needed to just take a little space up into that band. And we didn't see it being any kind of protrusion because the band really doesn't have any signage at all right now. And it's like a concrete band.
Right. That's it.
Okay, John, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Yeah, how much does the wood facade protrude off the building?
Off of the building, if you go to the front page, in the site plan itself, the existing facade, the concrete finish, is approximately 2 inches deep, and we're going to be adding about 3 inches to that. So it'll be 5 inches.
Does that stick out beyond the property line?
It does. And it does now as well.
Okay. How does that work, that you stick beyond the property? How do you build outside the property line?
I don't understand the question on what you're getting at.
Mr.
Wait,
Ordinance,
Pretty,
it's,
Tommy, can you put
um,
it on
it's-
page A3?
sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of projections on the zoning ordinance. So so pretty much if you take a look at this right here, they have the 2-inch bump out of that existing concrete furring, and we're adding to it to accommodate the new facade system we're proposing. And we felt that was the best approach because we don't want to really demolish what's there now. So in case in the future anything happens, you could simply remove what we're proposing on now, and it goes back to the original state.
And this would be, I think, thought of in the same way that an awning or projecting sign would be thought
Exactly.
of, because they project into the right of way, but they're considered architectural elements. So I
Yeah,
think we would
and if you-
just kind of group them together if that helps to answer your question as well.
Yeah, and then if you go to the next
actually,
sheet
I
on
have-
A4. Sorry, guys.
no, I guess this is a question for Tommy. You're saying in the zoning ordinance, you can project off a facade off the side of the building?
I have to check the specific language, but for instance, when we review awning applications, signage applications, those projections are kind of understood to be part of the proposal and are usually not an issue. The only signs that we require any kind of insurance policies to be provided for are sidewalk signs.
I think that's a zoning question. I would be very interested, Tommy, in hearing whether you can project facade, you can add to facades and project beyond the property line.
Yeah.
I'll look into that. I don't know. I can't give you an answer right now, but I will look into it.
Okay, got it. I don't
Uh,
have any other questions.
I think that's an important point, though. Okay, Mr. Sweeney? I think you're mute.
Yeah, I was just unmuting that. No, I don't have any problems. It looks like it's gonna be, the material is gonna be teak. I think the only questions I had is the actual sign material is PVC. Is that what the understanding is? It's not a metal, it's a PVC, right?
Correct.
Okay, but it has metallic coating?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Graham?
How are these going to be individual boards that are going to be drilled in and bolted in? Each of them are going to require bolts.
So they have a system, and it kind of gets clipped together, and there's a bolt on and off to allow for expansion. Yeah, it's like that exact board right there, and they kind of clip together, and it has its own system where it allows for expansion and contraction, so it doesn't crack or damage any kind of facade. So they have like a specialized like anchor that gets anchored onto the wood furring that we're going to be installing.
So you're not drilling into the side of the building at all?
No, we will. That'll be for the wood furring part only. Just to get the anchorage we need for the supports of the system. But this piece itself, no. What was
How
that?
many bolts are we looking at? Like how much drilling are we talking about?
Offhand, I couldn't tell you, but I could definitely provide that information after we speak to the person who's going to install it, because
Okay.
there's a certain pattern to it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how much, damage might be done to that facade if, there are too many bolts, but okay. Question on the lighting. It says, it said in the planning documents that they're conformed to the guidelines. We typically see goosenecks. I don't know, this might be a question for the rest of the board also. Is this typical, the type of lighting? I don't know, John or Kathleen, if you have any thoughts on that.
Um,
Can we
Well-
see more detail of it? Is there a detail of the lighting?
I think the most is on A1
It's on the last sheet.
of the last
Was there a
sheet.
specific reason, like, is it a branding reason for the design of the lights, or I mean, we usually
Yeah.
see goosenecks.
Yeah, it's more of a preference. We wanted to go with the more of a
Right.
modern look with the linear lighting. It's very similar to the gooseneck. It's just more of a continuous LED as opposed to having 4 or 5 goosenecks coming down. We just
Yeah.
felt it looked better with the whole design of the brand of the salon. That was the only reason.
Okay. I think that was all I had. Oh, I just have one more question on the sill that comes out. Tommy, can we go back to the picture of the current facade and show where that sill juts out? Is there going to be any issue like attaching the slats there with that sill jutting out there?
No, because they're allowed to go 16 on center, so we're gonna literally right below that, and then it'll be fine. It'll anchor itself.
Okay. All right. No,
Yeah.
no further questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Elizabeth E., do you have any questions?
My question was along the lines of Mr. Graham's, just like about any damage to the structure. I noticed in the engineer's report, they asked that suggested we have assurances that the building's not damaged by the anchoring. So seems like that's an assurance we should have.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have a question about the lighting. Are you proposing to install this lighting to drill into that band on the top? Or is it going to be attached to the wooden screen, as it were?
Right now, we're posing that we're going to be attaching to that band. Yes, that's the idea.
Is there a way that you could still have that look, but attach it to the wood as opposed to drilling into the band? Because you would be creating new holes within that band.
We could come up with something to make that happen. Yes. The only reason was I didn't want to extend the wood any further. But if that's preferred, I could extend the wood all the way up to the top of that band if that's the preferred route. That's not a problem.
No, well, could you attach oh, I see what you're doing. Take the design all the way up to the top of the band and then have the lighting on top of the wood.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we
How
were
are
trying to go ahead, sorry.
How are those lights fed? I see them drawn, but is there a conduit that feeds these lights? Or do you come in behind
Yeah.
somehow?
Yeah, it's going to come in from the inside. Yes. We didn't detail it just yet, but essentially the idea is to have the conduits on the inside so no one sees anything from the outside.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yet on the picture the rendering you have on A1, on the lighting, looks like conduits come down from either side of it, down into the wood. See?
Mm-hmm. Surface mount.
Yes, it's going to be surface mounted and then it'll come right behind that wood. But
Okay.
the physical boxes, the power boxes won't be seen. That's what I was referring to.
Okay. And I have a question of the signage that you're proposing to use, because PVC is a material that we usually don't approve. So I'm just wondering, Are you considering a black shiny surface with gold on top? What is it, the black? Is it going to be matte or is it shiny?
What's the black? The dark blue you're referring to, the inside?
Is the sign, is it dark blue or is it black? I'm sorry, I thought it was black. That.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be a matte blue, and then the gold will be the shiny part.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy, does this sign meet the size requirements? Seems like there's a lot going on with this sign.
Mm.
Some of it looks
The
really
projecting
tall.
sign or it
The
does
sign,
meet,
the sign on top of the wood structure itself. That's
it
the,
does. The
I'm not t-
maximum height is, I think, 18 inches, and the maximum allowed height is 24.
Isn't there a square footage allotment?
Yes.
Yes.
If you go back to the elevation, sorry to cut you off, Tommy. We try to break it down as best as possible. We have approximately 23 linear feet in the storefront, and the max signage area allowed is 23 square feet. That means per zoning, if you zoom into that bottom elevation there. And the area that we're proposing is 16.22 square feet.
Okay.
All right. Are there any further questions from the commission members? If not, are there any questions from the public?
Sorry, let me unmute them really quick. All right, everybody has been unmuted. I'll put the call-in number back up as well.
Okay. All right, well, if there's no questions from the public, why don't we hear from Mr. Conley, our consultant, our historic preservation consultant?
Okay, it seems like every one of the commissioners pretty much touched on every one of my comments already. My first comment had to do with the placement of the proposed cladding material. I thought it should sit below that concrete string course because the existing facade is, if you look at the facade in its entirety, it's kind of has a compositional aspect to it, and we're kind of deviating from the set precedent there. Maybe going up to the top of it might be better, but sitting in the middle kind of just kind of breaks that continuity. And the second comment had to do with the encroachment of the facade material upon the sidewalk right away. I understand awnings and signage encroaching on that right away, but not an actual building. So if we could look into that further, Tommy. The third comment had to do with the actual fasteners that are going to be used into the concrete. Looks like there's going to be a number of them in the concrete surround. My concern was, everything needs to be reversible. We don't want to destroy the material. So if this business, disappears in the next couple of years or 10, 20 years from now, we don't want the historic material to be destroyed. It is concrete and it is currently painted. So in the future, I guess it might be easy to patch and paint again. My fourth comment had to do with the proposed signage and lighting, as long as it conforms with or somebody should confirm that does conform with the township's current design guidelines.
Okay, thanks, Tom. That brings up a question for Mr. Sela. Do you have an estimate of the number of fasteners you would be using for this? I'm calling it a screen, but for this wooden facade?
I could get that back to you. I don't have the exact count just yet. I could definitely provide the information though. That's not a problem.
Okay. Well, is it like, how do you calculate that? Like for every square,
Yeah.
6 inch, half foot, you have a number like 4 fasteners?
Yeah, I have the spec sheet. Give me 1 second.
Well, it looks like you're furring out that wood screen, so it's the furring that attaches to
Oh.
the wall, correct?
Yes, exactly. It will be the furring that attached to it, correct?
So he has linear furring strips, and
Yeah.
then this gets attached. So I would guess there's quite a few. Um, more than 10, probably less than 100. No, seriously.
Wow.
Maybe not. Maybe they could get very long, get the horizontals just attached at ends. And maybe they can, I guess we would encourage you to fasten through the concrete as few times as possible.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that was the whole purpose of going on top of it, because we don't want to call for any kind of demolition to the existing. As someone mentioned about preserving it if anything happens to the business and they move away. So that was our total intention for sure. I just need to get you the exact number of it because I don't have it offhand.
And the other question I have is, do you propose to wrap it around where it goes into the door? Or is it
There's
going to
a
end?
No, there's a trim piece that kind of closes that end, and then it'll transition into paint after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those are, I think, all my questions. So why don't we, has everyone had a chance to ask questions? I believe so. Then can we go into discussion? Steve, what do you have to say?
There's a trim piece that goes above and below the wood pieces, and also at the sill of the window. And is that the same color? Is it, are we framing this with a piece of, you
There
see
you
it
go.
right there? And
Yes.
is it the same color as the wood?
Yes, it is. Yes, and then on the interior portion where you see it by the wood windowsill and the head, that's
Yeah.
actually gonna get painted. Yeah, but on the perimeter, it's gonna be the same color. Yes.
Okay.
Steve, do you have any discussion about?
I do not. I was just concerned in making sure this wasn't framed out in something that we didn't see.
And what do you feel about the lighting and how they're proposing attaching it, and the idea of bringing the screen all the way up to the top of that concrete string
Well-
course in order to allow the lighting to be attached so that it doesn't go into
The lighting in the section comes out much farther than I thought it would come out. And so you've got some twisting forces coming down. I wouldn't, 10 inches is a long way. And I think you just want to wash the front of the building with this light. And I'm sure it's LED, right?
Correct.
So it's very lightweight. And, the right temperature. I'm concerned about, I don't think it'd make much difference if you lower the top down to the bottom of the, I guess it's a metal trim that goes the concrete. Make it sort of line up better.
Yes, but then where do you attach the light? Do you mean, and then move the light fixtures down?
And you could move them down or you could move them up. It could be above the metal trim. So you
Just
could
not,
actually, so you could actually see that it's going into the mortar.
Are you saying
Okay.
you prefer it to be in the brick above?
Yes, yes. I don't think it makes that much difference when you look at it during the day, and at night, that's all you're going to see. But I think it would be better for attachment that it be drilled into the mortar and not the brick, or if this is in fact a concrete band.
We could do that. That's not a problem.
Okay.
okay. John?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, that's a good place where we don't have to drill into something. They could raise the lights there a little bit. My only comment would be the placement of the sign in the band above the windows. If it could be reduced proportionately, so the little symbol on the right, the little round symbol,
Mm,
the right-hand edge lines up with the vertical edge of the window, like the left-hand H lines up with on the other side, so that it just looks like it's above the glass and not sort of sitting over
Okay.
into that just proportionally, I think it'll look better.
okay. Thank you. Mr. Sweeney?
I have no comments.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, I just think that that top should come below and below that. I guess it's called the concrete string course.
Mhm.
I think, yeah, it detracts from the look of the building, to historic look, to have it go up into that string course. That was my only comment.
So are you proposing to place the signs above, not the signs, the lights above in the brick?
Oh, I don't have an opinion on the light, to be honest. I just think it looks like this screen coming into that design element looks bad. So I don't know. I don't have thoughts on the light. I defer to the experts.
Okay, perfect, thanks. Mike?
Yeah, I think I'm generally okay with the design. I agree with Steve and John to move up the lights so that it's in the mortar and not damaging the actual building itself. As long as the lights do actually, I know the documentation says that they conform to the design guidelines. As long as we can confirm that, I'm okay with the more modern look. Yeah, I think we should, in terms of anchoring these slats, I hope we can keep the bolts more towards 10 rather than 100.
Mm. And you bring up a good point, Mike, about the traditional lights, but as long as whatever they're proposing is reversible, and this goes with this sort of modern vibe of what they're doing here, and it's not that offensive to what else, what is currently there, because it is a historic district. Can you, Tommy, do you have a streetscape of the back of the building that we just look at the totality of the design? There you go.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Jerry. I feel like on this side of the building, it's less offensive than it would be on the other side of the building.
Exactly.
Glenridge, it's probably okay to be a little bit more modern, in my opinion. But yeah, I think I'm generally okay with the lights as long as they conform.
Okay, so we still have an issue with the zoning, whether or not it encroaches upon the right of way on the sidewalk. So that has to be ironed out.
Yeah, I've been looking a little bit on the side. I can't find anything offhand. I think I need to speak to the zoning officer to get any kind of answer. I'm not finding anything in the ordinance that's explicit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's you need to figure that out. But I think we're generally supportive of the application with some conditions. And the one that I'm hearing is that the light source not be anchored into the concrete string band, that it goes above into the where the bricks are, into the mortar of the bricks. And
Mhm.
that the wooden teak screening that they're proposing to attach be lowered so that it doesn't go above the brick, where the brick course and the string course meet. It should be,
We would actually prefer if we could line up with the top. That would give us a more surface area for the signage that we're proposing. Because if we lower it, then it's going to be like a really tiny sign, and I don't know for us if it's okay by the board. We prefer it to be aligned to the top of it, like was mentioned previously.
yes, and our historic consultant said that he's not opposed to that. Correct, Tom? That would be, as long as it's reversible.
Yeah, that was a suggestion. I'd like to see it actually rendered before we agreed to it.
No problem at all.
Okay. And then when we'll ask for another rendering and you could put the placement of the lights at that point when you decide where you want them to be?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how do we do this now? Do we ask you to come back?
You could do a condition about a review with the revisions committee or the design
Okay.
review committee, whichever one you think is more appropriate in this instance. If that's your preference, or you can have them come back as well.
Well, what do the rest of the members feel? Does it come back to the entire commission in a setting such as this, or it goes to the revisions committee and they decide?
I think it
Mind
should,
hearing everyone's opinion, but yeah.
I think it should
Yeah.
come to the revisions committee because I think they understand what the problems are.
Okay.
Okay. Are we in agreement with the revisions committee reviewing this?
I am.
Or
Fine
it's
with me.
final? What's that, John?
Fine with me.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, so Mr. Silla, you've heard our concerns and what we'd like to see changed. And if you could get that to Tommy, we can set up a meeting with the revisions committee.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'll get it to you guys as soon as possible.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen, procedurally, do you need to make a motion to approve with that condition, or
Oh, I'm sorry.
is the
Yes.
committee? Yeah, I think the committee can't actually vote.
All right.
Hey, Tommy, you read my mind. I was just about to say that.
Good.
You probably
Okay,
want to make a motion.
so we have a motion to approve this application with the conditions that I had started to lay out, which are the lighting source be moved, not to damage the string course, that be moved into a mortar line, either on the top or the bottom of the string course. The teak screening be rethought to either line up with the string course or at the bottom or at the top. And also the lettering be reduced for the sign and the round lettering so that proportionately it fits on that area. So those are the three conditions.
And also the design review and the revisions committee.
Yeah, and go before the revisions committee for final approval. And I think in the revisions committee, then the signage with the PVC, I think that the revisions committee should look at that too, because like I said, we don't normally approve PVC, and possibly would like to see this in a metal sign, metal material.
I'll second.
Okay, so should we do a roll call, Tommy, then?
Yes, I'll go ahead and do that. Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Rooney,
Yes, with the revisions.
Mr. Reimnitz,
Yes.
Mr. Graham,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We're all, okay, thanks and
Thank
good
you.
luck. We'll see you at the revisions committee.
Thank you very much. You have a good day. Well, good night.
Good night. Okay. All right, next up is the application 2022-08, 268 Bellevue Avenue. This is a facade restoration of the Bellevue Theater. They're coming to us for a certificate of appropriateness. The building significance, this is known as the Bellevue Theater. It's located in the Upper Montclair Local Historic District. It was surveyed as part of Preservation Montclair in 1981, designed by J.H. Phillips. It was constructed in 1921 in the Tudor Revival style, which is very popular in the commercial district. It's 2.5 stories in height, and the exterior is a brick stucco, half timbering, covered by a slate roof. As I mentioned before, it is in the Upper Montclair Historic District, and it is a key building. Tommy, could you put the Bellevue Theater up, please?
Yes. Give me just one moment.
Okay, great. Thank you. So this is a building that is become emblematic, I think, of the Upper Montclair Historic District, and people are really excited for the renewal of the building. So who do we have here to speak for this application?
Jesse Y. Sayegh.
And Doreen Sayegh.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you, very well. Mr. Burr, can you swear in our
Yes, I can.
applicant?
Swear my witnesses. Mr. and Mrs. Sayegh, I am going to swear you both in at the same time. Okay, so when I finish my swearing in, you just say I do if you're going to tell the truth. Okay.
Mr. Burr, can I just make a clarification? It's father and daughter, not Mr. and Mrs.
I am well, Mr. and Ms.
Thank
Yes.
Do you swear the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
We do.
I do.
Thank you.
Chair Bennett, I may have to recuse myself. Doreen and I sat on a board here in Cranford together. Hi, Doreen.
Hi, Tom.
Okay. Well, is your recommendation then still valid? Can we still?
I actually had no comments. I thought what they were doing was fine, so.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we consider that. Okay, thanks. Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah.
So just to bring everybody up to on the same page, the image you see up on the screen is the second image, is the second revision that came into the office within the past week. So this has gone up on the website, correct, Tommy? This.
That's correct. I'm pulling up the elevations we received yesterday.
Okay, great. So if you could just leave that on, and we're going to ask Mr. Sayegh to describe what he proposes to do now to the facade.
Okay. Well, basically, as we have withdrawn the first application, which we have submitted early, we are going back into what was there 26, 27 years ago, which is consistent with what the other side, the former hair salon, is now. Basically, you have 3 wood columns with 3 plate tempered glass from the bottom of the frame up to the highest point of the frame, and a bronze aluminum door with its frame. as it's posted in the architect submission of the what is there now. Basically, what is right now is covered with plywood, and before that there were like the poster cabinets. That was all installed in 1997 after we remodeled the theater, and we incorporated that store, into the lobby of the existing theater. So now we are bringing the theater lobby to its origin, and we are reopening the store, and the application for the stores are to be submitted, and we're looking to remove the plywood and the existing facade of that portion and restore it back to its origin, consistent with the other side store, which is the ex-hair salon, identically.
So you're proposing to remove the stucco,
Yes,
okay, and then incorporate another door into that, so it's a mirror image.
yes, where there is the tall plywood right now is where the door will be, and that's what it used to be before. And that would be consistent with the theater doors and the hair salon door, which is a bronze aluminum door with tempered glass.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And the marquee,
but that's as far as the removal of the stucco and bringing the storefront to its origin.
Okay, and the marquee, the existing marquee will stay. Is that,
Yes.
it just, the letters, the sketch is different, a little different in terms of lettering, so I'm just wondering, yeah, it's just a different font. So I
No.
wanted to make sure that that's staying, or is that being changed as well?
No, that's
No.
staying. The only request on the marquee is where you see green, we'd like to paint it black so it's more consistent with the colors of the building.
Mhm.
That's it. No change to lettering or the signage or anything, just the paint color.
Okay. And do you have anything that you're proposing for the east side, that little street that you goes down to the parking lot? Is that part of this application, or will that be in the future?
Well, I think, I don't know, because the application for reopening the two stores is to be submitted, and that is a process, that can be addressed differently. Right now, we are concentrating on the reopening of the theater, and, and restoring the storefront, only at this point in order to be presentable, as we are looking forward for the reopening of the theater soon.
Okay, all right. Thank you, just so we're clear about that. Does that conclude your testimony before we open it up to questions from the commissioners?
I think so, unless this, somebody on the commission have more questions, we are open to answer.
That's what they're gonna, we'll open it up right now to them. Okay, so Mr. Rooney, do you have any questions for our witnesses?
The previous application included putting in a restaurant and this has nothing to do with that.
No, that's not us.
No, I mean, right now, we don't have no potential.
So you're not
interested
really
party.
changing anything.
No.
Putting black, it looks like the building is brown. Although we don't have anything to say about color. It looks like the half timbering is all in brown.
Mhm.
My comment, and it doesn't mean anything.
I'm sure it will someday, Steve. Okay, thank you. Mr. Rooney, do you have any questions?
Remnants.
Remnant,
Remnants?
sorry, John.
Yeah, sure.
Remnant.
The rendering looks a little different than the front photograph. The new storefront will go from brick pier to brick pier, just like the other, like the rendering on the
Mhm.
left-hand side of this rendering doesn't look accurate. But if you look at the photograph, can we go back to the photograph, which I think is more accurate to, yeah. So you're going to leave the storefront on the left. It runs from the brick pier to the brick pier. On the right, you're going to run it from the brick pier to the brick pier. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Great. That's my only question.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
No questions.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, I want to make sure I understand what's happening here. As you face the building, I see the left side, there are the full-length 3 windows that say Bellevue on it. Are those going to be removed and they'll look closer to a rectangular window as appears on the right side? The right side, you have plywood, but or is it the other way around, that the right side is going to look like the left side?
The right side will look like the left side.
Okay, so the
If-
windows will become vertical?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there they are.
Okay, the proposal seemed to say just the opposite. That's why I was trying to be clear on that. Okay.
Can I just interject? You might, the first application actually stated that. This is the second, this is a revision from the first one that Tommy sent out. So maybe you're not looking at this is the latest one.
Yeah,
Jerry.
and we felt that those windows, the way it is currently on the salon side, which I'm a big fan of, is very beautiful. And those windows are so nice, and people love windows and they love like that open look. So we
Mhm.
felt that it would be more fitting, which is why we think this is the better way to go. And we just would like to make the other side of the building consistent. I think it would be so beautiful.
And that was my question, because I think the vertical windows look more beautiful, and stucco is not a favorite material. To the extent you can minimize stucco on anything, it's an advantage. And the same question I had, my eyesight must be bad too, because I saw the colors as green, but essentially you're going to try to match the building colors to the overhead main awning, so that the colors are the same, whether it's green or brown. It'll more match the main building. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
it'll be
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, we felt that the black is more closer into the brown than the green to the brown.
Right. And
Yeah.
it could be a transition, but historically, for my purposes, I'm really just trying to understand that I don't have any objection to either. Are there any other external facade front changes that you would point to us? I know the doors, the windows, and that coloration. Anything else?
No, on the facade, no. That's the only thing we are looking to modify and bring it back to its origin.
Okay, I understand it and I appreciate it, and I think it's without giving a comment, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Just one. Can we go back to the picture of the front currently? Yeah, I'm just, I was just looking at some of the historical photos, and they have, a window in the area right there. I'm not objecting to the vertical windows, but I'm just wondering if it might even be an easier change for you all. Just to, match the historical window there. I don't know if you consider that at all.
The window on the left?
On the
You-
right, I'm sorry, on the right, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, it all depends on which way you, I mean,
If you're facing the building?
facing the building.
Yeah, yeah, if we're
That's
facing
okay.
it on the right, yeah.
Yeah.
Just where it's boarded up right now, not the door, the window itself. I mean, the historical photos, they have windows that kind of match the second floor. I don't know if you considered that from a historical perspective. I don't object to the vertical windows, but I mean, and again, that might even be an easier fix for you. But have you considered the historical?
Are you speaking about the multi-pane windows?
Yeah,
Oh, the multi-pane, but then it wouldn't match they're going for symmetry to the windows to the left.
well, fair enough. You know what? That's actually a very fair point. It wouldn't make sense there anymore to do the historical window there. So, but no, I guess that was just my only thought. But yeah, overall, I don't object to those vertical windows.
Any other questions, Mike?
No, that's all, Kathleen. That's all. Fair.
Thank you. I have a question about the half timbering. I noticed the other day that some of it is in pretty rough shape. Are you proposing to replace, like, well, that's not a good, I saw to the left of the marquee, the piece that came down on the other side of the marquee. I don't know if you can, it's very rotted down on the bottom, above the door, actually, right there where your cursor was. Are you proposing to restore that or replace it or and paint it? What are you planning to do with the rotten bits of the wood?
Well, basically is to remove every piece that is rotted, which is basically wood, and replace it with wood and to be painted in the same color. You know, just take one rotted piece and replace it with a new one and repaint it to match the existing color, brown.
And so that would be part of this that's part of what you're planning to do before May, part of this whole now at this point?
I would say, I mean, if we get to it, you know, prior to the opening, that'll be fine. But it would be something that would be addressed when we come back, you know, for the rehabilitation aspect of the existing application as far as the stores front, the rentals of the stores, and whatever we're proposing to put on the second floor above the lobby.
Okay, so you don't know whether you'll get to those rotted pieces.
I mean,
Okay. No, that's fair enough. I just didn't know if that was part of this application. My next question is the full-length windows that are, and the doors, they're going to stay there, right? They're staying.
On the salon side.
Oh, no, they stay there, yeah.
And you're going to, and you can get the same profile of those windows for the other side.
As a matter of fact, if you go beyond those plywood and that white stucco, the existing storefront is still there.
Oh. Oh, so you,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, the 3 panels are still there. The only thing we removed is the glass, because the glass that was there 27 years ago has the security tape that at the time they used in case there's a burglary or something that would set the alarm. So the only thing we will replace there is only the glass, you know, with a tempered glass, and just put the door. The door is not there, but the other frame for the 3 panels are still there. So basically what we're doing is we're removing the structure that hold that plywood and that stucco, and then right behind it is what was there 27 years ago, which matches the other storefront.
Is that door still there that you have in the rendering? Is the door still there, or do you have to replace that door?
You mean in the area where the plywood is?
Yes.
The opening is there, but there's no door. But we have, the door will be a bronze aluminum that matches the theater doors and the hair salon door.
Okay, I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that
Yeah.
it was consistent in color and profile.
Absolutely.
No, it's consistent. Everything will be in uniform. All doors, on the facade will be all bronze aluminum doors.
Okay, okay, thank you. Are there any other further questions from commissioners before we open it up to the public for questions?
No.
No? All right, Tommy, are there anybody online that would like to ask a question?
Hello?
I've just unmuted
Hello?
everybody. It sounds like we have somebody on.
Yes.
Yes. My name is Ilmar Vanderer, 127 Edgemont Road. This isn't a question, but I just wanted to express my strong support for Bellevue's owners, Mr. Jesse Sayegh and Ms. Doreen Sayegh, and their proposed design plans. As you know, I've been working with them on supporting this project for 5 years now, and right from the early planning stages, it was very apparent to me that Jesse and Doreen are committed both to preserving the integrity of the theater spaces as well as to maintaining the historic feel of the building. In hopefully approving their proposed design change, which is one of the final steps before this historic community landmark theater's reopening in the near future, the HPC would provide welcome validation that Jesse and Doreen have succeeded in their efforts. Thanks for your consideration and for all of the wonderful work that you do. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That meant so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ilma. Anybody else? Oh, hearing no other questions, we'll open it up now for discussion amongst the commissioners. We'll start with Mr. Rooney.
I think this is really a nice alteration to this building, and it's not quite symmetrical, but everything else works. And good luck.
Thank you. It's
Thank
going to
you.
be so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. John?
I think this is great. I have absolutely no problem with it. It sounds like they care very much about their building. I would encourage them to work on the windows on the left-hand side, etc. But, I totally support it. I think it looks great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, Chair Bennett, I have to leave, but my
Oh,
vote is not needed, so I support it.
okay. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, I go get stretched across the street regularly, and I can't wait to look over and see how lovely your building is going to look.
Smell the popcorn in the air.
This looks great to me.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Sweeney?
I support it. I think everything looks fine, and I'm glad they're taking the stucco off and re-exposing those 3 window frames and putting the windows in that used to be there. That makes it more historical, but it's a wonderful building, and I strongly support it and support your efforts to preserve and make good use of this building.
And Mr. Graham?
Yeah, I'm fully supportive as well. The loss of the theater was a real blow to the neighborhood, and I think this is a wonderful project. It's really an important aspect, a real important landmark in the Upper Montclair neighborhood, and I think they've done a great job, and I think I commend them for taking on this project.
Thank you.
And I too would like to offer my total support. I think that it's been a long haul, and I think that you are going in the right direction. I'm glad that you worked with us and understood the symmetry with the windows, keeping the windows down to the ground, full length windows. So I look forward to the opening in May. But before we take our vote, we need to open it up to the public again to see if there's any general comment in terms of our discussion. So Tommy, if you can see if anyone else would like to, or anyone else has an opinion.
I've unmuted everybody, so if there's anyone on, you can speak up.
Okay.
No? Okay. All right. Well, I think you've got everyone's support. Do we need to take a vote, a roll call, or is it a, I guess we should, Tommy.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Bennett?
Absolutely, yes.
Wait, should there be a motion to?
Yes, should be a
Oh,
motion.
yes, sorry. Okay.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All right. All in
Sorry, we got a
favor?
motion. Yeah.
All right.
You want to just do an all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Must raise my hand.
Okay,
That's called a voice vote,
voice vote.
or
Unanimous.
roll call is when you ask everybody individual. Very well.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Doreen. You have a lot of
Thank
work
you.
to do. So we look forward to the first week of May, second week of May.
We hope so. Yeah, that's hopefully the goal.
Yeah.
So, but we look forward to welcoming you back to the theater and the public. And I do just want to add one thing, which I mentioned last year when we said that we were going to reopen the theater, that this building has a lot of sentimental value to our family. It's the first, my dad saw his first movie in this country at the Bellevue. Yeah,
Wow.
so I guarantee you and
What
assure you
was
that
it?
a lot of love and care and concern will go into.
I still remember where I was sitting.
Wow.
Was that when it was one theater? One
Yes.
theater, not, it was.
1973, 72 or 73.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what'd you see?
And, A Bridge Too Far.
Oh, okay. All right.
I
Thank you.
just a quick comment from the lawyer who's grown up in Montclair since 1969. The first movie I saw it wasn't the first movie, but one of the best movies I saw there was the opening of Star Wars.
That's
movie.
That's a great
That's a great
to
movie.
see.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to stay on and just listen. I had asked Tommy to go over the idea of this being a redevelopment plan, whether it was redevelopment, the difference between redevelopment and rehabilitation. He sent us, or actually it's from Janice Talley, the planner, a draft for the Bellevue Theater redevelopment plan, Township of Montclair. And I just asked him if he could sort of explain to us what this means in terms of, our role. I mean, we had to approve the facade changes, but I think if you do anything else, certainly on the eastern facade, or it would have to come back to us. So Tommy, if you could take the floor now and just relay a little bit informational.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just go through quickly the redevelopment plan for the Bellevue Theater. Like Kathleen says, was prepared by the Director of Planning, Janice Talley. So I'm just going to summarize the plan and its provisions, and then I'll answer any questions that I can that you guys have. Janice is obviously more intimately involved and aware of what's going on with this. So if there's any specific questions I can't answer for you tonight, I'll definitely refer them to Janice and I'll get back to you. So the redevelopment plan for the theater was prepared following the council's adoption of a resolution in October of 2021, designating the property as an area in need of rehabilitation due to its aging infrastructure and the deteriorating condition of the building. This is different than an area in need of redevelopment in that the threshold of evidence that's required to deem an area in need of rehabilitation is much lower than what's needed for deeming an area in need of redevelopment. However, in both cases, the term redevelopment plan is the term that's used. And so this plan will be reviewed by council and possibly adopted by them as well. We're presenting this to the HPC tonight to give you guys the opportunity to prepare a memo to council expressing your views on the plan. I have specific instructions for one part of the plan in particular that we'd like the HPC's input on, which I'll cover at the end of my little presentation here, but the memo can obviously cover whatever you all see fit. So, all right, I'm going to jump into a brief history of the building. The Bellevue Theater, located at the corner of Bellevue Avenue and Upper Montclair Plaza, was constructed in 1921. This picture is from 1922. It was designed by J.H. Phillips in the Tudor Revival style and contained retail spaces along Bellevue Avenue, as well as the theaters, which were added onto in the 1980s and 90s. Previously, there had been a restaurant located on the upper level, but then this was subsequently turned into an auditorium. The retail spaces were converted into additional lobby space for the concession stand, like Jesse said earlier, prior to the theater's closing in 2017, since which the space has been vacant. I'm going to just scroll a little bit further into the plan here. The redevelopment plan, which would supersede zoning requirements if adopted for the property, is designed to allow the theater spaces to operate as a by right use, whereas it's an existing non-conforming use currently in the neighborhood commercial or NC zone district where this property is located. The plan would accommodate a variety of principal uses, including the movie theater, as well as retail spaces, restaurants, and multifamily uses on the upper level. The plan lays out bulk regulations as well, which more or less conform to what's there on site currently, with certain allowances to provide for the residential uses. The plan also contains provisions allowing for a property tax exemption, which entails the tax exemption for assessed value increases that result from improvements that are made to the space for a period of 5 years. So then procedurally, following adoption of this plan, if it is adopted, there would be a required site plan review and approval process through the planning board. And like Kathleen mentioned, any physical improvements on top of what was looked at today made during the rehabilitation process would need to be reviewed and approved by the HPC. And so the next steps for this redevelopment plan include discussion with the planning board on March 28th, introduction to council in April, and then hearing with council for adoption at a time to be determined, possibly late April or early May. So Janice and representatives from the planning board have asked that the HPC review and provide additional language to be included in this plan, specifically for number 1 under site planning and design, which I'll read really quick. The existing features of the historic building must be preserved. All development applications must be reviewed by the Historic Preservation Commission prior to consideration by the planning board. So what Janice and the members of the planning board would like is for the HPC to provide additional language to kind of insert into this number 1. So to be a little bit more specific about what features of the building are, deemed the most important to preserve. So just giving a little bit more context to this provision of the redevelopment plan. So we just ask that if you choose to draft a memo, that you include revised language for this as part of that memo. So that's all I'm going to say now about this redevelopment plan. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have if I'm able to answer them, and otherwise you guys are free to discuss how you want to move forward.
Tommy, I have a question. When do you need this revised memo? What date do you need this for the? I mean, it's coming up very quickly. The planning board is March 28th, you mentioned, and then council
Right.
is April and May.
Yeah, I believe April 5th is when it's going to be introduced to council. So ideally, prior to that, I don't believe that they would be voting on it at that meeting. I think it's just being introduced for comment at that meeting, and then at a subsequent meeting, it would actually be voted on. So I believe you have beyond April 5th if needed, but I think if you could get it done before that, that would be preferable.
But wouldn't we need to, if we were doing this by the, as a consensus of the commission, it would have to come before a commission meeting, which was, our next meeting is April, what is it?
14th.
April 14th. Is that too?
Could we empower a committee to write the memo? Are we allowed to do that?
Well, we would have to, yes, yeah, that would, yeah, we would have to do that anyway. But I'm just wondering whether then we need committee consensus of the entire committee before we hand it over to council.
Question for Paul, is that something that can be sent around via email for comment, or would it require a hearing?
It would require a hearing, Tommy.
Okay.
So can you find out, Tommy, if April 14th is too late?
I think that April 14th is not too late, but I will check on that and I'll let everybody know tomorrow.
Okay, if you could do that.
Yeah.
I'm just
Well,
time-wise, I don't want to get backed up.
I have a suggestion, and you could go with the point number 1 of the site planning and design, and adopt that as a resolution tonight as we support that. Because it requires, as part of the plan, that the existing features of the historic building must be preserved. All development applications must be reviewed by the Historic Preservation Commission prior to consideration by the planning board. If we went with that one principle, we essentially agree with all the things that we have. The rest is more financing.
Well, unless I'm misunderstood, I think they want specific details of the building, like, the half timbering, the roof, the marquee. I think
Right.
that, I think it is, unless I'm mistaken, is that what they're?
Yeah,
is that what you're?
yeah, their hope was that those types of specifics would be added to that first point, to just kind of give it a little bit more.
So we're only
substance.
talking about the northern facade.
No,
We're just talking about the facade, yeah.
The features that Kathleen just mentioned are on the northern facade, but it's not limited to the northern facade.
Okay.
It can be, anything, exterior architecturally that you think is significant, that it merits preservation. This application that we reviewed earlier was for the northern facade, obviously, but this redevelopment plan is for the entire property.
Sure.
The northern facade is the only apparent historical in terms of, granted, the rest of the building is historical, but that's the only portion of the building that's significant and for historic purposes.
Well, I think on the west there, that neighbors the Caldwell, or whatever that realtor is there might be, do you have a picture of that? There maybe a window.
I believe, yeah, there are some images part of this.
And the chimney, isn't there a chimney on that side?
Yes, I believe there is.
So, okay, so I think going along with Elizabeth's idea of empowering a committee to have this in place by our next meeting, April 14th. I think that seems to be the best way to go, and I think that that's what our counselor has suggested as well. Mr. Burr?
Yes. I think that's the best way to go.
Okay. So volunteers for the committee. Mr. Rooney. Is that your hand up, Mr. Rooney?
That's my hand up. I'll help.
Okay. Come on, we need one more. No, all right. Well, I'll definitely.
I
And-
apologize. I'm just traveling a ton for work, so I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Just maybe we can ask Mr. Graham. We'll ask Mr. Graham.
I would, Chair, but this actually is a rough stretch for me. I'm not going to be able to,
Oh,
it's going to be a little tough to do this.
okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
apologize.
Can
No,
we
that's okay.
ask
I think
Mr.
it's just a
Ram-
question of
Randall?
looking at the building, the facade. I mean, you could go on your own and anybody and look at it and go.
I'd be happy to look at it. I just don't know that I could help with the drafting at this point. It's
Oh,
just,
no. I
I'm
just
getting-
think that we need bodies to point out what
verify
you
what's there.
think. And being that, you're in the neighborhood, you could.
Sure,
You could do
I'll be happy to take a look. Yeah, again, I can handle that. It's just the drafting. I'm not going to be able to really.
No, that's
Okay.
fine. I wouldn't expect that. Okay.
Give us notes.
Okay, so we have our committee. And Tommy, you will find out about dates because that's going to be very important.
Yes, I will. Sorry, I will find out what the deadline is for that tomorrow, and I'll let everybody know tomorrow when I'm able to talk
Okay.
to candidates.
Great.
Okay, all right, well, that's great. And thank you for the that explanation. It's
You're welcome.
very much appreciated. So thank you, everyone. This was a special meeting. I know it's another 2 hours, 2.5 hours out of your life, but this is important work we're doing. So many thanks. Many
You're
thanks
welcome.
to Tom, many thanks to Mr. Burr. So with that, may we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, you'll hear from us, and we'll see you on April 14th. Take care.
Okay,
Have
thank
a
you.
good night.
Night.
Thank you.
Bye.